Right, guys. So, I was born into a well-off area. I went to private school since I was very young, 4 to 18, and the thought of me going to a public school is out of the question. Okay, and what did that do to me? I grew up in a snobby street. People kind of just keep themselves. They've no interest in having community or making friends. They're very exclusive, and I didn't have any friends growing up. I was a loner on my road growing up. I didn't have any friends. I hear of other people who had friends they went out to play football with. Like that wasn't the case with me. Um, okay, so yeah, we had Xboxes and PlayStations and stuff back then, but like, I feel like in those days it wasn't as big a thing as it is today, if you know what I mean. I think generally, kids were out more back then, but not for me because I lived in the snobby street where no one knew each other, so that was a bit of a problem. And also grew up in Carrick Mines, Mount Marion Avenue, and never knew my neighbors. Some of the neighbors, like I was a runner when I was in Carrick Mines, and I feel like some of the neighbors kind of hated me for being a runner. I mentioned the strange old man in my area. I mentioned other people. There's definitely, at least at the very least, there were a few people there who hated me for being a runner. Okay, and I'm sure there were more. As I mentioned, the strange old man in my area was very kind of passive aggressive about it. I didn't realize he hated me for being a runner. I thought he was a grumpy, arrogant prick who hated people. It took me a while to realize that he didn't hate people, he just hated me for being a runner. So, and why is that? I don't know. It's like maybe they just hate this. Something they see it as like a peasanty lower class sport for skinny anorexic people, or maybe it's because I wasn't famous. Maybe they expect me to be all over the newspapers and getting all the attention and stuff like that. But that's not very realistic to expect everyone to be like that, is it now? Like only very few people get to be like that. So I like to move to an area where I'm kind of accepted as a human being, if you know what I mean. So, um, here, around here, I don't know what's like exactly. It's probably, I think here people kind of stick to themselves. They don't really. I haven't really had any like hostility from people yet, but yeah, I think they just kind of ignore you. That's the way it is. That kind of area. It's individualistic, not community based. But definitely in more working class areas, there's more community and I feel like I was brainwashed into this whole individualistic thing. I was very independent. 'Cause I had to be. I had no friends, so I had nobody doing. I had to do stuff myself, if you know what I mean. So, and that led to problems. I was a loner for years, and I realized after a while that no, this is not a healthy way to live. This is not the way we're meant to be. Human beings are meant to be collective individuals. We're meant to be community based. We're meant to accept people, even people who are average, even people who work at McDonald's like me. And it's not normal. So I want to stay away. I want to just move to a different area where it's acceptable to not be like some famous celebrity. Where it's acceptable not to be a millionaire. I don't even want to be a millionaire. I'm happy living in my little room here. Nothing special. So I was thinking of leaving Dublin. I was thinking maybe moving to the north side to a more working class area, or maybe moving away from Dublin. So hard to go Dublin. Where to go? Probably won't go somewhere too far from Dublin. Could be somewhere like Kildare, maybe Drogheda, Dundalk, Benlev. Maybe it could be Wexford, somewhere like that. Not too far away. If you know what I mean. So um, just want that good sense of community. I want um, a smaller town. People would tend to be friendlier. So yeah, I feel like you shouldn't put your individualistic goals first. That can lead to isolation. If you know what I mean. So it's good to have people to work with. Because human beings are actually meant to be conformists. All right, I was a non-conformist my whole life, and I feel like that's kind of in my nature. I feel like it'd be kind of hard for me to kind of go against that, but I can certainly do things to be more collective, if you know what I mean. Not necessarily blindly believing everything the crowd believes. You know what I mean? The fact that I believe in community over individualism is kind of like a non-conformity, if you know what I mean. That's a form of non-conformity because that's like most people think differently in Ireland. Um, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I like to just do that. Stop taking myself so seriously. Stop expecting to achieve everything in life, and just enjoy life. Just do things for the enjoyment. If you know what I mean. Like, who wants to be a rich, famous celebrity anyway? Who wants fucking people taking photographs of you? You might think you might like it, but it's probably not the best. All right. Now, like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a professional footballer, and yeah, I'd love to be a professional footballer, but I wouldn't like to be like famous, like Premier League famous. I'd like to be maybe League One or League Two, if you know what I mean. Just play football, make a living out of it, without having to and also being able to walk down the street without being hounded for autographs. Um, so yeah, that's the most important thing at the end of the day. It's just community. I'm not that ambitious when it comes to my work. I am trying to improve, or I'm a McDonald's crew member. I'm thinking of trying to get maybe promoted to management. I think maybe I have to move to a different restaurant to do that. Ask for a transfer to a quieter restaurant 'cause I can't really keep up in Carrickmines, unfortunately. So, bar like a couple of stations, I keep up on the batch, the grill, and the lobby. I do well in those stations, but the other stations I don't do well. So yeah. Anyway, so um, that's the thing. I want to move to an area where I can, be accepted, where I can have friends, where people don't just ignore you. People have time for you. That's what I value, if you know what I mean.